space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the current Starship Retro Monkey. Its mission: to explore strange new worlds to exploit, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to smack us down, to boldly go where no one else has gone before, and blow shit up.
You're listening to Giltarian Game Reviews, where the sauce is awesome.
Hey there, Internet faithful, it's me, Kevin, the Keltarian, aka Navet Goshans, back with yet another video game review. Except this one's special, it's an exception to the rule. Now I say that because, as I mentioned before, I will only review a game upon its completion. However, seeing as today's games for Star Trek Online, which is an MMO, and they never really end, this is going to be an exception. Now, I've gotten some feedback, and as always, thank you for saying I should keep my overall ratings at the beginning for a spoiler-free insight, but repeat them at the end. So, keeping that in mind, I'm gonna actually do that. Now, for STO, we're reviewing primarily the gameplay, as everything else is pretty much summed up in the ratings. And yes, I'm a Trekkie, so I'm in the nerd know for this game. Total ratings are 8.8 for story, as Star Trek Online's website has the Road to 2409 articles that very thoughtfully fill in the gap between the end of Nemesis, the last movie, and the beginning of Star Trek Online. However, the story behind each mission set varies in creativity. Soundtrack gets a 7.9, as they're only using loop tracks of Star Trek music. It fits the moments, i.e. changing from just casual flying to an actual fight scene and back, but mostly you can tune it out. In-game graphics are NA for non-applicable. I can't give you a rating for them because that would vary depending on what your computer can and can't do. And cinematics also I can't review because as so far there aren't any cinematics in it. Gameplay gets a 7.9, and this is where the meat of the matter is, as it's all about the controls, or lack of, and a lack of MMO standard like auto attacking. All in all, I give Star Trek Online a 7.5. It's an okay game. It could be better, but then again, it also could have been a lot worse. Star Trek fans should pick this up today. Non-fans, however, should really think about it, especially if they're new to MMOs. Now, arguably, the best part of this game is how they give you amazing leeway in character creation, even to do so far as to create your own race. Ship customizations, however, isn't as forgiving, as you can only customize using the part styles of the 3 ships in that specific class, and the colorizations are nearly non-existent. Okay, so STO's gameplay isn't that far off from the MMO standard. You talk to an NPC, get your mission, go to the field, complete that mission, report back to NPC for XP and loot, rinse and repeat ad nauseum. However, STO's NPCs are high-ranking officials in Starfleet, and as such can be contacted any time, saving you trouble of having to go back and forth across many fields. And missions are split into a ratio of 60 and 40 of space combat and ground combat. Here, unfortunately, is where you run into your problem. You see, there is no auto attack, meaning you keep your phasers firing. You have to constantly keep pressing the fire button, as opposed to the standard, which is a persistent standard attack, and you just have to press the buttons for special attacks. Now, for Klingon vessels that use disruptors that are all facing forward, and they're specifically for strafing, this works. But for Federation ships, which is what you'll be playing as most of the time, whose phaser arcs are about 360 degrees, this doesn't work or make any sense. I would be remiss, however, if I didn't mention that yes, there are special abilities that you get from your bridge crew, and constantly having to hit the button to fire, say, your photon torpedoes makes sense because those technically count as special attacks. Not to mention the piss poor auto targeting. I'm okay with having to hit the fire button to hit the next guy, because that is the standard MMOs, but it only works for those ones on screen immediately. So even though you have a power monkey blasting away at you in your firing range, if he's not immediately on screen, he's a non-target. This isn't to say, however, that ground battles aren't just as bad, but at least when you're surrounded, it's only in 360 degrees and not the full 1080 like in space, because you do have the whole up and down to worry about as well. And now that we're on the subject, ground battles are made a tad bit easier with the away team NPC crewsmen you get to take with you. You get up to 4, and if you properly take the time and train up or swap out skills, you'll have a pretty formidable party. And speaking of swapping out, changing the gear on your characters, weapons and armor, and on your ship is actually quite a breeze. It's actually very intuitive, and it's another point that makes the game really simple. Once again, my total ratings are story at 8.8. Star Trek Online's website has the Road to 2409 articles that very thoughtfully fill out the gap between the end of Nemesis and the beginning of Star Trek Online. However, the story behind each mission set varies in creativity. Soundtrack is a 7.9. They're using loop tracks of Star Trek music that fits the moments, i.e. changing from casual flight to a fight scene and back, but mostly you can tune it out. In-game graphics I can't review simply because it depends on what your system can and can't do. Cinematics I can't review because as so far there aren't any. Gameplay was at a 7.9, and I think I've thoroughly explained at this point why. All in all, I gave Star Trek Online a 7.5. It's an okay game. It could be better. It could have been a lot worse, however. Star Trek fans should definitely pick it up today. Non-fans of Star Trek, however, should really think about it if they never really played an MMO before. As always, I'm Kevin the Keltarian, aka Naveco Shans, and from me to you, giggity 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 goo. And I'll see you next time with another video game review.
You're listening to Keltarian Game Reviews, where the sauce is awesome.